Now the day I went to this mine, it was pretty warm, almost too warm. And then just a few days later, it looked like this. So I'm glad I went up there when I did and got this filmed, because currently I hear there's about 6 to 8 inches of snow up there. So it would have made filming this really difficult. Holy smokes. Nobody's been in here in a while. I think right about here is where our makeshift bridge used to be. Well, here's the road. I think it's pretty safe to say we were probably the last ones to take a vehicle up in here of any kind. Wow. This road was a lot better last time I was here in 2005. The last time we were in here, we tried to put some water bars, some water diversions in this road while we were here to hopefully keep what happened from happening. But obviously that didn't work. The way this road's built, there's not many places for the water to escape off the edge until you get down to that washout. And boy, this road, all the fines are completely gone off of it. Right here, you can see where most of the water comes onto the road right there. You know, the road on up doesn't look that bad. And right in here, we tried to build some diversions to get it off of here, but obviously that was unsuccessful. If you look across, right over there is part of the waste rock pile. It's getting closer, and you can see why you can no longer spot this from the valley floor very easy. The trees have just really grown up. And here's what it would have looked like back in the day. I tried to get up to where, kind of where they probably took the picture, but the trees are so thick that you really can't see it anymore from their vantage point. So that's the best we can do. And there were quite a few buildings here. There was buildings scattered all over this hillside coming up. Let's keep on trucking. I think starting right in here, there would have been buildings right above us, right up there. I think this takes us out onto the dump pile, I think. Actually, I think that might take you down to the bottom. See one of the roads they cut in. I believe that went up to where the bunkhouse and cookhouse was. Well, let's see where this one goes. Okay, what we're looking at here is the top end of the dump pile. See quite a bit of water flowing out. See if we can pinpoint where that's coming from. You can see old springs off of a vehicle or a wagon. A little bit of this and that metal up here. This looks like where the water's seeping out. I think this portal is long gone. Almost sounds hollow underneath there where the water's gurgling. There's very little sign of a portal being here. This looks like it over here. Old shovel. This might have been the portal. I've heard some pretty strong rumors that the Forest Service or BLM, because this is a little chunk of BLM right here where the portal would have sat. Private above, Forest Service off the other way. I've heard that they came in here and used a whole boatload of dynamite and closed this portal back in the late 70s, maybe early 80s. I've never found anybody to confirm or deny it. But from the looks of this hillside, might be what happened. Now this went back in about 600 feet. A lot of the maps show it as there's a portal here and a shaft right down below me here. The old mine maps don't show that. They show this goes back in, this is what they call the station level, and went back 600 feet, and then back in there, underground is where their actual shaft was. And I guess it would be technically a wind since it started underground. But I think it went down about 500 feet to different levels down below. But it was all underground. I don't know. I wish I could find some more information about how that hoist worked, how they powered it. And it's just pretty interesting. This is one of the few mines that I've seen that they actually put their main shaft way back under the mountain here. And there's another supposed adit up above me here, about 300 feet higher in elevation. I've never found it. The last two times I've been up here, I've kind of looked around, not real hard. I was hoping to go back today and look. I don't know if I'm going to have enough time, but anyway, I think right over there is where that portal went in. Let's go look at this waste rock pile. Some more pipes hanging out of the bank there. Now this is a fairly large waste rock pile. And the old pictures show it was actually kind of two piles, one on each side of the mill. There's about 10,000 feet of workings in this hillside. This chunk of pipe. This tailing pile's got a very distinctive smell to it. I mean, it's almost sulfury. You can see they used, I don't remember the poundage on these tracks, but this is not the smallest track by any means. Like a valve that was broke off. Check out how rusted that bolt is. Your guess is as good as mine on what that thing is. Looks like a pipe from inside of a boiler. A bunch of metal here. Now this is pretty dang cool. Old radiator for heat inside a building. I believe the mill sat right in here is where the mill was. And you know, I don't think I've ever been down there. I see some metal. May have to jaunt down there. Kind of amazing looking at the chunks of the size of the rocks that they brought out of this. That's some big pieces of rock to load up. There's almost all that right there is granite or granite diorite. And that side over there, it's almost all argillite. Don't think there's any significance to that, it's just kind of interesting. Some old hose. The first few times I came up here, I looked on this tailing pile, kept trying to find a shaft up here, never could find it. And I finally looked at the old map drawings and figured out that a lot of the topo maps have it completely wrong. There was no shaft up here on this level. It's underground. Okay, I might be wrong. I think maybe the mill is actually right down in here. From the looks of it, a bunch of cable down there. Big spool of cable. We'll look at that in a minute. And this would have been the pile on the opposite side of the mill. And why they did it that way, I'm not really sure. I'm sure they had a reason for it. Yeah, there's definitely where the mill was right down there. You look at this. This is a lot of waste rock out here. Ooh, this side really smells like sulfur. And that's one thing you got to remember about hard rock mining. They talk about ounces per ton. Well, that's ounces per ton of usable ore. And you look at this, how many hundreds of thousands of tons of rock are piled up here that are just waste. You just had to dig this out for development purposes, and so you don't get anything out of it. So if you consider all the waste rock involved in it, you know, it doesn't seem like a great efficient way to do it, but you know, what else are you going to do? You got to do the development work to get to the ore, so you wind up with lots of waste rock. My four-wheeler's parked way down there. You know, that's probably at least 200 feet down there to the bottom of this. It's a steep hillside, so there's a lot of rock here. Well, as much as I hate to, I got to go down there and look at that. It just means I got to walk back up out of there. Here's that roll of cable. Pretty decent sized cable, at least an inch thick. You can see bits and pieces of the old building all around here. You can tell this is definitely not built like the middle Baisley. Of course, this was a lot earlier. Everything was square bolts. Looks like it's kind of charred, so I'm kind of thinking they burnt part of this down. I kind of wonder if they didn't move most of this equipment down to the middle Baisley when they started it. Really can't find much information out about what they did there. Well, here's another ore cart. At least the top to one. Two of them. There's some really small track. You can see the foundation they used here was just rock. Some drive shafts for equipment in the mill. Really good sized bolt. Another very big drive shaft. And I think most of this was steam powered, this mill. That one's pretty rusted out on the bottom. Here's what's left of another one. And this is one of the few pieces of cement I see up here. Pretty neat structure there. What's even more neat is this old drive wheel, wooden drive wheel. Really surprised that's there. Hasn't just decomposed to nothing. Looks like there might be another one over here. Sure enough. Gotta remember, these are from the late 1800s. This one still has the drive shaft through it. Bunch more stuff. Interesting. I wonder what that was for. A couple of them. Well, let's go look up above. Well, I'm certainly glad I came down and looked at that stuff and come out this way. Otherwise, I would not have seen this. This thing is buried in the trees down here. Almost looks like maybe somebody was trying to get this out of here at one time and just stopped right here. Big boiler. Obviously the fire would have been on this end here. Door would have been right there to put the wood or coal or whatever they were using in. I think parts of the side are back down there on the by where the mill is. And they hauled this up here on horses with a horse team. Pretty impressive. I'm sure somebody has swiped that door and hauled it off home. I'll be darned. I don't remember what these are called, but it's a cleaning rod that, I can't remember if they put rags or what on the end of that. And they run it through there to clean these out, clean all the soot out of them. That is cool that that's still there. So yep, this was definitely powered with steam. No electricity at this mine. Man, I'm pretty tickled I came out this way now. Quite a ways above the mine, the actual station level of the mine right here. And I don't know if this is the top level of the mine. It shows on the maps. Here's an old stove with an ammo can in it. We'll have to check that out. But I remember this from the first time I come through on a dirt bike. Back about 88, 89. Now somebody told me this was like off of an old Ford, but I have really no idea what it is. I'm not that familiar with old trucks and cars. So if anybody's got an idea what that belongs to, let me know. So there's the waste rock pile, and this is where the adit would have went in. Now if this is really the first level of this mine, somewhere below me, 200 or 300 feet, is a shaft, the main shaft for the mine. From all the map drawings, from the top level, somewhere right below there is where they dug that shaft and went down to the lower levels. Eventually the middle Baisley connected into it below the lower level. I think they drove a raise up into this old workings. I'm going to go up just a little further and see if I can show you what this hillside looks like above here. So I'm quite a ways up on the mountain, quite a ways up above the upper Baisley. And right up here is where the vein actually is. Like I said, that crosscut they dug in came in 600 feet horizontally to this vein. And right here's the material. Brecciated argillite, some quartz, some more of it right there. So what I'm seeing up here, if you watch my video about the Columbia mine, how dangerous it is, this one's probably a close second. The only thing with this one is the vein's pretty well defined and you know about where they stoped. But right up here, you'll start seeing collapses in from below. All this is collapsed. I've been up here before, and there's a couple of these you could see right down into the workings. But they stoped out right to the surface through a lot of this hillside. So it's pretty dangerous in spots up here. Fortunately, it's pretty hard to get to. Here might be one. This might be one of the spots that you can see down into the workings. Nope, it's collapsed in the rest of the way. But even from Google Earth, you can spot this whole line along here where this is collapsed in. So if you come up here, don't be playing around in anything that looks like a sinkhole. This one's a pretty good sized one. That hillside is sunk in down into the stope. So it's pretty clear to see the vein where it came through here. I'm going to stop right here for a moment and show you an extremely useful tool that the Oregon Department of Geology has on their website. It's a lidar viewer, and they've been working on this for several years, going through and flying the country and getting this all done with lidar, which takes away all the vegetation and all the extra stuff so you can just see the ground. And right here is a good example. That road that's washed away is right here, and it just shows up perfect on this lidar. And you know, up above here, obviously this road's just trash. So it's really helpful for looking at these old areas, these old mining areas, looking for exactly where they prospected and where they built roads. So here we're going to look at the area I'm currently standing at, and you can see all these little roads and trails these old timers had built all over this. You know, obviously here's the tailing pile. Here's where that adit or tunnel would have went in. The 600 feet back up into this hillside, and I think I'm standing probably about right here somewhere, and it's very clear to see where they stoped out almost up to the surface, and it's collapsed in now. So this is an extremely helpful tool if you're trying to figure out where old roads are and where prospects are. This area was not on here. I think last year I looked at this and none of this area was on here. So they've added this fairly recently, and I'm pretty happy to see that. And it's an ongoing process. Most of the west side of Oregon's already been done, and they're slowly getting the east side done. So you can see where a lot of these buildings, this would have been about where the boarding house, or not the boarding house, but the cookhouse, and I guess boarding rooms would have been. And, you know, obviously the mill sat right in there. And I think you'll see here in a moment, this is actually where what they call the upper level went in right over here. And so the shaft would have been somewhere in this area right below it, this general area. So let's look at this view real quick. Down here in the bottom right, you'll see these little leveled off spots. That's where the mill would have sat for the middle Baisley. And right here is where the tunnel entered, and it came back at an angle about like this and stopped somewhere, you know, about right here. And then they tunneled over and got into this vein. So, you know, that's a 2,200 and some feet long tunnel that goes back in the hillside. So you can kind of get an idea of how that was laid out. And of course, right here is where the station level is. So anyway, just thought I would show that real quick. I stumbled across this the other day when I was getting ready to edit this video, and this, like I said, this area was not on here before, but it's on here now. So great tool if it's got the areas that you're looking for covered already. Definitely worth the time to go look at this. See here, this is all caved in. Here's another one that's stope that's fell in. Now this vein is nearly vertical. If you look at the mine maps, the tunnels were pretty well stacked on top of each other. This one's at least 30-40 feet deep. Good, at least 30 feet. And good 25 feet across. You can just barely see the trail coming up through here. Crosses right here and keeps going. Let's follow these stopes down towards the creek, see how far it goes. Doesn't show up real good on camera, but the sun is pretty well set over the mountains there. So it's going to get dark in here fairly quickly on me. I'm going to try and work my way back down to the road. Follow this collapsed stope as far as I can. Originally, I wanted to hike to the top and look into the Maxwell mine from up above. But I'm just not going to have time today. I made it about 2/3 of the way up, but with the sun going down on, I don't want to be walking out in the dark. See more collapse there. Little bit of collapse right here. Lots of collapse right ahead of me here. Little opening right there underneath that tree. I don't think it goes to anything, but I'm really not that enthused about climbing up on that and finding out. Something down below me here that looks like a opening. Yep, it is. This one has fell in more recently, in the last few years. So you can tell they scoped right up close to the surface through most of this, getting every last bit of that ore out. Originally, I thought this upper Baisley and the Maxwell pretty much tied together in the middle of this mountain, but there's a lot of ground. If you look at the maps, they really didn't get that close to each other. So there's a lot of ground between here and the Maxwell that was really unexplored. I don't know if there's anything in it, but it is steep, rugged, and nasty. So right up there is another tailing pile. I walked over here to the creek, and I'm wondering if that's the first level right up there, because I know it was further west than the rest of it. This is some steep country, and those are some tough old dudes, let me tell you. Just made it up here, this tailing pile. And by the way, there was an old road coming to it that I didn't see. Some metal here. Pretty decent sized pile, really, for as steep as this hillside is. Bunch of stacked up extra rail. This is the small stuff here. Pipe and extra rail. This, I think right here was actually the adit. Last time we were up here, I could have swore we seen down the canyon here a ways some ore carts. I couldn't figure out where in the world would ore carts come from right in the bottom of the draw like that, up above the main part of the mine. Well, I think they came from right here. Okay, the sun's really down now. and it's cooling off quick. So I'm going to get out of here. I still see a trail going up through there. Oh man, another trip. So before I lose all my light, I want to say thanks for watching these, taking the time to do it, subscribing. Remember to hit the little notification bell. And remember to go watch the Middle Baisley. I explored it right before I came up to this one. Again, thanks for watching. We'll see you on the next one. I don't know what this is, but it is heavy.
You got something behind your eyes, the way you're talking, it's a cheap disguise.